A double terrorist attack targeted French President Emmanuel Macron's hotel in Damascus, injuring 18 people and dramatically escalating tensions in the Middle East. Here's everything we know about this shocking incident and its far-reaching implications. In the wake of the recent attack in Syria, several scenarios may unfold that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. This incident, attributed to Iranian-backed militias, has reignited concerns about escalating hostilities in a region already burdened by years of conflict. France and the European Union are likely to consider military or cyber operations against the perpetrators, particularly if intelligence substantiates their involvement. Such a response could escalate tensions significantly, potentially leading to confrontations in Syria, a territory rife with complexities due to the involvement of various state and non-state actors. The attack underscores the ongoing volatility in the Middle East, where proxy conflicts often pit nations against each other indirectly. In response to this crisis, urgent NATO and EU summits are expected to be convened to address the immediate security threat to Western nations and the broader implications for regional stability. These high-stakes meetings may result in a comprehensive reassessment of military strategies, with calls for enhanced security measures for diplomatic missions abroad becoming a priority. However, there is also a possibility that diplomatic efforts may persist, that as some leaders advocate for stabilizing the situation through dialogue and negotiation. Such an approach, while potentially fruitful, might alienate long-standing allies and increase friction with Iran, complicating an already intricate web of alliances. The impact of these developments could reverberate beyond the immediate region, affecting global oil markets and international relations. Observers should closely monitor the responses from NATO and the EU, as well as any statements from President Macron regarding future engagements with Assad. As the situation evolves, the critical question remains: can Western powers effectively navigate this geopolitical minefield without igniting a larger conflict in the Middle East? The path forward necessitates a delicate balance between military readiness and diplomatic overtures, as the stakes have never been higher. The attack on President Macron's hotel represents a significant escalation in the ongoing geopolitical tensions that have defined the Middle East in recent years. The roots of this incident can be traced to the aftermath of the Syrian civil war, which erupted in 2011 and has since resulted in over 500,000 deaths and millions displaced. President Bashar al-Assad has maintained control of Syria, bolstered by military support from Russia and Iran. In contrast, Western nations, particularly the United States and the European Union, have historically backed anti-Assad factions and imposed sanctions aimed at isolating his regime. However, in a surprising turn of events in 2024, President Macron announced a strategic pivot toward diplomatic engagement with Assad, seeking to stabilize the region and mitigate the influx of refugees into Europe. This shift has not been without controversy, as it has raised questions about the West's commitment to human rights in Syria. Concurrently, Iran has intensified its military presence in Syria, deploying various militias that have drawn U.S. and Israeli military responses aimed at counteracting Iranian influence. The situation has been further complicated by former President Trump's aggressive rhetoric towards Iran, coupled with his administration's push for a reduction of U.S. troop deployments in Europe. This has emboldened Iran, leading to a more defiant posture and potentially setting the stage for retaliatory actions. The attack on Macron's hotel underscores the fragile balance of power in the region, where multiple nations are vying for influence. Looking ahead, the international community must grapple with the implications of these developments. The delicate interplay of diplomacy and military action will be crucial in shaping the future of stability in the Middle East, as nations reassess their strategies in light of recent events. The implications of this attack are staggering, marking a significant turning point in global diplomacy and security. A direct threat to a Western head of state during a diplomatic mission elevates this incident from a local terror event to an international crisis. French President Emmanuel Macron was targeted while attempting to engage with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, a meeting intended to address the ongoing humanitarian disaster in Syria and discuss potential pathways for peace. This unprecedented targeting of a sitting leader on foreign soil raises alarm bells within NATO and the EU, prompting urgent discussions about collective security measures. Macron's determination to proceed with his meeting with Assad, despite the attack, signifies a bold shift in Western policy toward Syria. It indicates that France and potentially the EU are willing to normalize relations with Assad, a move likely to alienate traditional allies like the United States and Israel. This shift is particularly significant given the historical context of Assad's regime, which has been accused of numerous human rights violations during the civil war. The attack also occurs amidst a broader wave of instability in the Middle East, with oil prices surging to $74 per barrel following a separate attack on a Qatari tanker, exacerbating the ongoing Gulf crisis. The geopolitical ramifications of these events could be profound. Should diplomatic efforts falter, we could witness a new fragmentation in the region, increasing the likelihood of foreign interventions and further destabilizing the already volatile landscape. This incident presents a symbolic challenge to the emerging framework of a new Syria, which seeks to integrate the country into the global community despite its authoritarian past. As nations grapple with their responses, the convergence of these crises could redefine alliances and power dynamics in the Middle East. The actions taken by European leaders in the coming weeks will be crucial in determining whether this attack leads to a renewed cycle of violence or a new chapter in Syrian diplomacy. The stakes are high, and the upcoming discussions at international forums will likely set the tone for future engagements. The outcome of these diplomatic maneuvers will significantly influence regional stability and the political landscape in the Middle East for years to come. On the evening of July 6, 2026, chaos erupted in Damascus as French President Emmanuel Macron prepared for a pivotal meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Two explosive devices detonated outside the Four Seasons Hotel where Macron was staying. The blasts occurred at approximately 7:45 p.m. local time, near the hotel's entrance. Reports indicate that the explosions caused significant structural damage and resulted in injuries to 18 individuals, including both security personnel and civilians. French and Syrian media outlets quickly confirmed that the incident was a terrorist attack, underscoring the precarious nature of security in the region. This attack comes at a critical juncture in Syria's ongoing recovery from a devastating civil war that has lasted over a decade. Macron's visit aimed to discuss the future of Syria, focusing on economic reconstruction and political stability. The meeting was considered essential for fostering international cooperation in rebuilding the war-torn nation. However, the blasts have highlighted the persistent threats of extremism and violence that continue to plague the country, raising questions about whether any real progress can be made in diplomatic efforts. The impact of this attack extends beyond immediate casualties. It serves as a stark reminder of the risks involved in attempting to engage with a complex and often volatile political landscape. Analysts suggest that this incident could derail potential peace initiatives and exacerbate tensions among various factions within Syria. Authorities believe the main suspect is linked to a Syrian extremist faction, raising alarms about the influence of radical groups in the region. Intelligence agencies across France, the United States, and the European Union are now probing whether the attack was orchestrated by Iranian-backed militias or local jihadist networks operating in Syria. Looking ahead, the ramifications of this attack are likely to reverberate throughout the region. Macron's commitment to a new Syria will be tested against the backdrop of heightened insecurity and distrust. The French government may need to reassess its diplomatic strategy, balancing engagement with the need for robust security measures. As the investigation unfolds, the international community will be keenly focused on how this incident influences both the peace process and the stability of a nation still grappling with the scars of war. As we reflect on the implications of this attack, what are your thoughts on how Western powers should respond? Share your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for daily deep dives into the world's most pressing issues.